Losing weight is good, right? Or is it? I've spent the last 5 years dieting and helping others get into shape, and the number one thing I believe most people losing weight must realize is that there is good and bad weight loss. You need to know that not all weight loss is equal, and just because the number on the scale goes down, that isn't always something that you should be excited about. I like to categorize this in 3 different ways. There's water weight, there's fat weight, and there's muscle weight. Primarily, you want to be losing as much fat as possible while also keeping the most amount of muscle and keeping your water just at a steady level. Now, I am a major proponent of always weighing yourself and always tracking the number on the scale, but this is where it can take a back turn because the scale can sometimes lie to you. Sometimes you can just be losing a bunch of water weight and think that you lost fat. Sometimes maybe you weren't eating enough protein throughout the last month and you lost like a kilogram of muscle where you think you lost some fat. You know, if you weren't sleeping enough and you went on a weight loss diet and you lost 4 kilograms or 8 pounds over the month, most of that could have just come from muscle just because you weren't sleeping enough. And I'm not pulling this out of my ass either. There's been studies shown now that if you go on a weight loss diet and you simply don't get enough sleep, most of the weight you are losing is actually coming from your muscle. So now that you get the basic idea of this, let's cover good weight loss. This is what we want. This is what we're shooting for when we are losing weight. Good weight loss, I will categorize by losing primarily fat, keeping as much muscle on as possible, and keeping your water levels kind of steady. You can always fluctuate your body water and keep it where you want. You know, if you keep your carb intake up higher, if you drink more water, you might look a little bit more puffier, but your muscles may look a little bit bigger. If you eat lower carbs and not intake as much water, you know, maybe have less salt in your diet, you're going to look more leaner, but it's just a few pounds or a few kilograms of water, so it's nothing to worry about. To do this, we have to put ourselves in a slow deficit, anywhere from 250 to 750 calories, which is kind of pushing it already, will get you this type of weight loss. Now, the less protein you eat and the less exercise you do, the slower you have to lose the weight. If you're eating all of your protein, if you're working out every day, then you can put yourself in a bigger deficit and keep on more muscle and lose more fat at the same time. If your sleep is dialed in, if your diet is dialed in, you can push the deficit further. But for a lot of people who don't want to exercise and they just want to do it by cleaning up their diet, you're going to have to go slow and the process is going to take forever. So there is a trade-off. There are inputs that you can put in here to get faster results, but it does take work. This is the ideal way to diet down. It's probably going to keep you the healthiest in basically every single metric. You're going to look the best, you're going to feel the best, and you're also going to perform the best. Now let's cover bad weight loss. This form of weight loss is where you lose muscle from extreme dieting or any other neglect of your health. So how can people experience bad weight loss? If you are not sleeping enough, if you're not eating enough protein, if you are barely exercising, and you are for the most part sedentary throughout your entire day, you can expect to lose more muscle on your fat loss phases. And the big ones primarily being sleep and your diet. If your sleep isn't dialed in, there's so many studies now showing that if you go on a fat loss phase and you're getting less than 6 to 7 hours of sleep per day, you are primarily going to lose muscle. And the other one being protein. In your fat loss phases, you need much more protein compared to how much you need to grow. So if you're not getting at least, as a minimum, 1 gram per pound, you are quite likely to lose a lot of muscle and experience that so-called bad weight loss. So what are the practical tips that we can take away from this? If you want to avoid bad weight loss, just eat enough protein, which is typically 1 gram per pound of body weight every single day. Also get preferably 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And if you can, exercise as much as possible. I wouldn't push it any more than 1 hour every single day. And don't do too much cardio. If you're going to do a bunch of cardio over an hour per day as well, that can also lead to bad weight loss. You will lose more fat, but you'll also lose more muscle. So diet slowly, intelligently, get in your protein, get in exercise, get in your sleep. These are all pretty simple things, but it does become difficult when it gets mixed up into our daily lives. If you want 10x your results, press the first link in the description, join our free Skool group. At 100 members, I'm going to make it paid, so if you join now, you'll get it free for life. If I give you anything of value, consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to stay savvy with your diet.